You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
We've had a really interesting time for TV because we had a few months there. It seemed like there was hardly anything good on. We'd get, something would pop up here, something would pop up there. But, it's not like a couple years back where we were talking about multiple good shows at the same time. Well, we're there now. We've got Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2. We've got Only Murders in the Building Season 4. And we now have Agatha All Along and the Penguin. So, yeah. This is some of the best TV I've seen in a while. Not counting stuff like, Crime Scene Kitchen is coming back tonight. And I watch a lot of Cooking Channel stuff, or I'm looking forward to Alex Cross coming up on Prime, those kind of things. But to have 4 really good active series all happening at once, that's pretty cool. And we're going to talk about 2 of them today. So stick around. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is Thursday, September 26th, I'm thinking. It is not Batman Day, but Batman got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame today. So that's kind of cool. He's the first comic book character or superhero to get his own star on the Walk of Fame. You'll notice that I've changed the decor slightly. I've added the pop figures for the Batman, including the Penguin himself. So we will be talking about him today. We'll be talking about Agatha All Along. But we have got an absolute ton of news. I did the news earlier in the week, and I thought, well, maybe I'll save a couple of these stories to talk about again on No, I think I saved one because it's a big deal. But we had a lot of little stories. So we're going to jump right in. But first, let me say hey to Ed, hey to Triple B, hey to Kenneth. Good to see you guys. Let's try to get some more people in here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And remember to stick around for What's in the Box, the Geek Chat, and SketchUp tonight. Good lineup. Plus, remember, tomorrow we got the original art show with Nick Barucci and Friday Night Live with Nancy from Comics Unlimited. So it's a pretty cool night. All right, so let's get into the conversation with the news. We used to have news graphics. We need more graphics. All right, this is the one I'm carrying over because I think it's a big deal. But we heard a lot of names being bandied about originally for who was going to play Hal Jordan in the new DCU. Now, recently it was reported that Josh Brolin was offered, and then it got turned down. How many times does he want to do a superhero movie or superhero show? But the names that we heard after that were like Chris Pine, Ewan McGregor, all pretty big names. But this is for an HBO Max series, and that doesn't negate people doing TV versus movie stars and stuff. But it kind of got the feeling that maybe Hal Jordan wasn't going to be the biggest character. He was going to be big in the series, but maybe we were going to focus on other Lanterns going forward because we've got Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner already in the Superman movie. Well, the report is now saying, and this has been picked up by Variety and Deadline, so this is pretty legit from that sense, that Kyle Chandler from Friday Night Lights is in negotiations to take on the part of Hal Jordan in the Lantern series. Now, I'm a little mixed on that. I think Kyle Chandler is a great choice. I think he's a good actor, and I think he has the look of Hal Jordan, and I think he could pull it off, but he's also kind of up there in age. I think he's in his late 50s. So that kind of limits how much you're going to get out of him. But that does go along with the fact that this series is supposed to be Earth-based. It's supposed to focus on a mystery that takes place in the American heartland. And it's supposed to star Jordan, Hal Jordan, and Jon Stewart, with Jon Stewart being the younger, more brash character, which would then kind of lead to him being the Green Lantern for the big movies and stuff. But so that's what they're talking about. Now, this series comes from Ozark's Chris Mundy, Watchmen's David Lindelof, and comic writer Tom King. And it got a straight to series order back in June. So expect this to start moving forward pretty quickly. There's a couple names being bandied about for Jon Stewart, but nothing set yet. So, all right, speaking of casting and staying with DC, the Rust and Bone actor Matthias Schoenaerts, I hope I got that name right, will be taking on the antagonist role in the upcoming Supergirl movie. Now, this also based on Tom King. So Tom King's working on Lanterns, and they're adapting his and Bilquis Evely's 2022 series, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And the main villain in that comic series is named Krem of the Yellow Hill. Now, this is a character who kills this young alien girl's father, and then that girl finds a way to draw Supergirl into the conflict. So if that's the story we're doing, very cool. Now, it's being adapted by Anna Noguera, and the film is going to be directed by Craig Gillespie. House of the Dragon's Millie Alcock will be playing the Girl of Steel, with Alcock expected to appear as Supergirl in a different project before the film's released. So I could see her popping up in Superman. I'm not sure what other movies she could pop up in that would make sense. So, but yeah, they're supposed to be moving forward with that. And this does follow Gunn's rules of you don't cast until you have a script, because supposedly Noguera has finished the script. So, and JD says, please do comment on the YouTube video after the show. We're getting some good results from that. Help us with that. Thanks. Speaking of James Gunn, my old boss, Rich Johnston over at Bleeding Cool, says there's a rumor coming out of the Baltimore Comic-Con that has James Gunn penning a new Superman comic book next year. And the speculation is that the art may be done by some little-known artist named Jim Lee. Now, again, this is just a gossip, a rumor at this point, but it makes a lot of sense that Gunn might try to establish some of the Superman universe prior to the film's release. And he's supposed to want to kind of connect all the dots. He wants the comics and the animation and the video games and stuff to all kind of work together. So I think there's a lot of credence to this as a possibility. All right. The Penguin, which we're going to be talking about later today, did really well for Max. Now, the streamer says that the new Colin Farrell series had the biggest 4-day audience for a new series on Max since the debut of The Last of Us back in 2023 in January, which is not really that long ago. But in the US, the series debuted on HBO at an average of 5.3 million cross-platforms. Now, it started off on Max on Thursday and then debuted on HBO itself on Sunday. And now all the shows are going to release on Sundays after that, with Max getting them at the same time. But the Matt Reeves series basically outdid the 4th season premiere of Succession, which was at 4.9 million, and The White Lotus at 4.1 million. Now, there's some speculation online of how good this really is, because they compare the numbers to The Acolyte, which did like 11 million. But you have to remember that the number of subscribers on Disney Plus and the number of subscribers on Max are different. So when Disney comes out and says they got 11 million, but it didn't do that great, that's because they have a larger base, of a larger subscriber base than Max does. Max is still growing, but Max is also doing a lot more quality shows of late. It's almost like they woke up and went, oh, wait, we're actually HBO, and HBO does good TV. We should do that again. So expect the HBO numbers to start going up, or the Max numbers to start going up. But this is considered a hit for them, which is great because that means good stuff for the Batman sequel. It means good stuff for the possibility of another spinoff series, which they've talked about. And the numbers on the Batman itself have more than tripled on Max since the show debuted. So people are watching it and the Penguin, and they're going back and rewatching the Batman, or watching the Batman for the first time, which is what Max wants. It says the Batman doesn't have a toxic fan base like Star Wars does. That's true. Most people that I know that love the Batman will love the Penguin, as it says. Well, you know, they don't have a toxic fan base specifically for Batman, but there is the Snyder people, which is a pretty toxic fan base for anything that's not a Zack Snyder thing. It's a little less when it's Matt Reeves or Todd Phillips, but they definitely go after anything James Gunn is specifically doing. So there is a toxic fan base involved with DC. And there's lots of DC news today, by the way. This time, let's shift over to Todd Phillips, who I just mentioned. Joker Folie à Deux, still learning how to pronounce that. They got some good news on that today. The sequel to the 2019 Oscar winning Joker will be getting a release in China, something the original film didn't get, yet it still passed $1 billion. Now, Joaquin Phoenix, of course, returns as the Clown Prince of Crime, with Lady Gaga joining the cast as a new version of Harley Quinn. And the film's going to be in theaters here in the U.S. on October 4th. I think it hits in other countries on October 2nd, but then in China on October 16th. Now, a lot of movies, they get about a third of their take, quarter to a third of their take from China, depending on the movie. So the fact that the original Joker made $1 billion, if it does as well, if the Joker Folie à Deux does as well, it'll get more because it'll have the China market. All right. By the way, Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, the singer has said that she'll be releasing a companion album called Harlequin on September 27th, which is tomorrow. Now, it's unclear if this will be the 7th album that she's been hinting at for a while, or if this is just a side project, but she's been kind of teasing the announcement by releasing these images with texts that include "Still Not October," "Moon Dust Gets Everywhere," "No Duct Tape, No Mission." I love that one. "Don't Tell Me What to Wear," and "I'm Ready for My Interview." So if these are song titles or what, I don't know. But that's what she's been posting. But she did recently release a song called "Die with a Smile" with singer Bruno Mars, which is now out there if you look for it. So it'll be interesting to see if this all ties together, if this is just a songs inspired by the movie, The Harlequin, or if it's going to be actual songs from the movie. Because we know there's going to be a lot of songs in the movie. Switching to The Boys. The Amazon Prime series, speaking of music, Amazon Prime series will be adding Tony and Grammy Award winner Daveed Diggs for the show's 5th and final season. Now, if you don't know who Diggs is, Diggs was the original Thomas Jefferson, in the Hamilton musical. He has the singing style that is so incredibly fast. It's a rap style that's just off the charts. He does a song called "What Did I Miss?" He's just, I think he also does Lafayette. So he plays two parts in it. If you haven't seen Hamilton, I do recommend it. It's one of my favorite musicals. But, which sounds very generic. I also like 1776 and a few others. So it's not just Hamilton, but who he's going to play, no idea. But if you look at the Boys series, the Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson comics have so many characters in it that he could be playing absolutely anybody at this point. But yeah, Daveed Diggs is joining the Boys, and I can't wait to see what he does. Now, in an odd move, comicbook.com is reporting that Hellboy the Crooked Man, which is this new film that's kind of the fourth Hellboy film, the third actor to play it, it's not going to get a domestic theatrical release. Now, in the UK, it's going to theaters this Friday, but there's nothing about it hitting theaters here in the US. But if you go to like video on demand, VOD platforms, you'll see that you could pre-order the movie for an October 8th release, and I might get it as soon as the night of October 7th. So they're not putting this in the theaters. Now, this one has Jack Casey as Hellboy. It's written by the director Brian Taylor, Hellboy creator Mike Mignola, and the guy that Mignola collaborates with all the time, Christopher Golden. And it's also said to be the most comic accurate adaptation of the property to date. They're literally taking the Crooked Man story and filmed it and put it out there. But that's a bad sign that it's not getting a theatrical release. So, all right, moving on. This news story surprised me because I didn't know that actor Jared Harris, you probably know him from Mad Men or The Crown or Chernobyl or Morbius. He's the son of legendary actor Richard Harris. So, yeah, the last name probably should have keyed that in. But somebody asked Jared if he would consider taking on the role of Dumbledore, which his father is the one that originated before his passing and Michael Gambon took over. But Richard Harris was the original Dumbledore. And they're asking Jared if he would do it in the new Harry Potter series that's being worked on right now. Well, Jared said, no, thank you. Also, I mean, why do it? I don't understand. The films were fantastic. Leave them alone. Kind of my sentiment, too. So when the son of Richard Harris and the son of the original Dumbledore comes out and says, stop, don't do it, somebody should pay attention to that. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of rebooted series, I got two more information on those. When Amazon purchased MGM, one of the properties that seemed to be earmarked for quick development was RoboCop. Now, momentum on the series seems to be picking up now. Peter Ocko from Lodge 49 has signed on to be the writer, the showrunner, and an executive producer. And James Wan of Aquaman and a bunch of horror movies has also come on board to executive produce. Now, the series is expected to stick with that original premise about a giant tech conglomerate collaborating with local police department to create a cyborg police officer. But how you take that from a single event movie and make that a series, didn't they try doing a RoboCop series once? For some reason, I think they did. But I hope they pull this off because RoboCop is such a great character. But we'll have to see how that works. So, all right. And we've got one more story. And this one's near and dear to my heart. One of my favorite TV series of all time is White Collar. And we've been hearing rumblings about maybe doing like a reunion movie or something. Well, it's moving forward. Series creator Jeff Easton has come out and said that it's more than just a movie, that he's already written a pilot episode for a new series, and that the studio has seen it and they really like it. Also, he said that the new series will be called White Collar Renaissance, which perfect title for that if you've watched White Collar. And that the pilot episode is called Masquerade, all of which perfectly in line. Now, the show is going to bring back original cast members, Matt Bomer as Neil Caffrey, Tim DeKay as Peter Burke, and Tiffany Thiessen as Elizabeth Burke, his wife. Missing from the cast, of course, is the character of Mozzie, the quirky, conspiracy theory-loving thief and best friend of Neil, who was played by Willie Garrison. Sadly, Garrison passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2021. Now, the show plans to honor the actor and the character in the new series. Thiessen said that she has read the script and not only loved the script, but was in tears at the end for how they honored Mozzie. So fans of the series, they're really going to try to keep that part. And Mozzie, if you haven't watched the show, he seemed like he was going to be this little side character, and he grew into such an important part of the show. It was so much fun. So, and of course, if you don't know Willie Garrison from that, you probably know him from Sex and the City, or just a ton of other stuff he's been in. So, or he was in. So, the original series aired from 2009 to 2014. So it debuted 15 years ago. It's been off the air for 10. But it's recently been picked up by Netflix. And all the seasons are available for watching on Netflix. And I've started rewatching it. Lisa had never seen it before. So that's one of the shows we're watching along with all of these other stuff. But the great thing about White Collar is it's very bingeable. It's very light. So you could, let's watch a couple tonight before bed, or let's, hey, we have a couple hours, let's watch some White Collar. You don't have to be as attentive as you do with something like The Penguin or Agatha All Along, where you got these clues and stuff. There are these nice little mysteries that are self-contained. So, all right, guys, that is the news. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Agatha, and then we'll talk about The Penguin. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Did you know that Arthur, King of the Britons in Monty Python and the Holy Grail was played by a famous Graham? Check out another famous Graham by following our Instagram.
Symphonic verses, nocturne's romance. A song of romanticized darkness, dreaming death by sleep.
You love comic books. You collect comic books. But even if you own a rare, expensive issue, it's still a copy. How would you like to own a piece of comic book history? The actual art pages the comics were made from? Oh no, you say. That's too expensive. Regular people can't afford that stuff. Can they? Nick Ferrucci says yes. Join the founder of Dynamite Entertainment for the original art experience on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. Incredible art at almost unbelievable prices. Does he have some high-dollar pieces for the high rollers? Sure, but Nick always makes sure to find amazing pieces priced for the fledgling collector. You can collect original comic art. The original art experience. Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Part of the experience.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And remember to comment on YouTube and other things. Be part of the chat. Be part of the conversation. Okay, a couple things before we get into it. There's a headline on Deadline right now that the Menendez family is upset at Ryan Murphy for his portrayal of Lyle and Eric in the Monster movie. And I'm thinking, didn't they kill their parents? Okay, trailers you guys should check out if you haven't yet. There's a trailer out now for Thunderbolts, dropped 2 days ago. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's the one that's been going around at D23 and stuff, but it's good to see. There's a trailer for The Ballerina, which was originally a Blacklist script that got bought out by the same guys that do John Wick and is being made part of the John Wick universe. That stars Ana de Armas, so check that out. And there's a trailer for Alex Cross, which is a new series that's coming to Amazon, similar to how they do Jack Reacher or Jack Ryan. They're adapting these novels. Alex Cross, you may not be familiar with the character, but you're probably familiar with the movies they've done based on him. There was Along Came a Spider. There was Kiss the Girls. And there was also a movie called Alex Cross, which starred Tyler Perry. So, yeah, good movies. Was The Bone Collector one of those as well? I don't remember. I don't think so. But yeah, they're Alex Cross looks good. It's going to star Aldous Hodge as Cross. Aldous, of course, was in Leverage for all those years. Also played Hawkman in the Black Adam movie. And I'm trying to think, there was another person in the series that was familiar. Let me pull it up real quick, because this is the thrilling type of news you guys want to know. It's going to be called Cross. And who's... Oh, Isaiah Mustafa's going to be in it. Isaiah was, for a long time, he was the Old Spice guy, which is, look at me, look at my hand, look back at me. I'm not your boyfriend. You know, I'm on a horse. That's Isaiah Mustafa. But yeah, there was somebody else in it that stood out to me. But Ryan Eggold, who was on The Blacklist and was doing that hospital drama recently. Matthew Lillard, who, of course, the Scooby-Doo movies. Wes Chatham from The Experience. Not The Experience, The Expanse. So, yeah, there's a lot of good people. And Brianna Stark. I'm in. I'm going to watch it. So you should check it out. All right. That's right. Bone Collector is the other one. Okay. There's a similarity, but yeah, I knew I was wrong, because isn't he in where he can't move? So, all right, let's get to Agatha. We've got 3 episodes of Agatha now, and I am absolutely fascinated by this show, because at no point are they really trying to redeem Agatha. They're kind of just letting her be Agatha, which is perfect. The first episode had that amazing Mare of Easttown vibe to it, or True Detective vibe to it. And I was kind of getting into that when I was watching it. And then I was kind of stunned when we suddenly came out of it, which I could have hung out in that world a little longer, or it would have been interesting to see them kind of go through other detective series. But I get, from a story point of view, what we're really doing is we're not going through detective series like WandaVision went through comedic series. The detective series is the bridge between the hex that Wanda left her in and her getting out. The exploration is of witches in cinema. television and film. That's why when they're on the Witch's Road, it looks like a soundstage. It doesn't look like they're in a real forest or anything, because it's supposed to kind of have that Wizard of Oz feel to it. The actual Wizard of Oz movie classic, that's the feel they want. They don't want it to look slick like, oh, we filmed it in an actual forest, or we filmed it on the volume and made it look amazing. They want it to have that vibe, and they get that. And they're kind of nodding to other shows too. The third episode is kind of a nod to the show Big Little Liars. And there's even a comment about Huge Small Lies as kind of a nod. But a lot of interesting stuff has already been popping up. I think I mentioned last week that I don't think Aubrey Plaza's character is actually Rio Vidal. I think will be revealed to be somebody else. I've been hearing a different rumor. I think she's probably going to be Morgan Le Fay, but there's a rumor now that she's going to be somebody else. And the clue has to do with two things. One is a leak of pop figures, which I don't tend to, I don't know. This one's a little weird. But they're putting out a line of jewelry. Every witch in this has a necklace or a brooch, and you can buy those. And the one for Rio Vidal is the dagger she carries. Well, with the fact that there's a picture of it now in the jewelry, you can compare it to these tarot cards that they released as kind of a promotional thing. They weren't like a deck of tarot cards, but they released some tarot cards images. And one of them was for death. And the character of death on the tarot card is carrying the same dagger. So there's some speculation that she might be Death. And Death has always been a character in the MCU, so that's a possibility. I'm still leaning towards Morgan Le Fay, but who knows? We'll see how that pans out. This might just be another Mephisto chase. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, maybe get a quick spoiler thing up. JD, if you're there. Thank you. They name drop Mephisto. What they do is there's a scene where Jennifer Kale is trying to warn Teen that he should be weary around Agatha because she traded her son away for the Darkhold. Her son, by the way, is named Nicholas Scratch, and we see his name pop up in the first episode. And there's some speculation that maybe that's who Teen is Nicholas Scratch. But she said that there's some rumors that Nicholas is still around, that he's a demon now, something else, or maybe an agent of Mephisto. So that's the first actual Mephisto name drop in the MCU. I know when Wanda came out, everybody was like, oh my God, it's Mephisto. There's going to be a Mephisto. Oh my God. So, yeah, it's pretty cool that we finally getting Mephisto named. Now, is that just a dry, tease or whatever? I don't know. Let's see. JD says Death would have some beef with someone who had extended their life, but they do make a couple of references to Aubrey as Blackheart. Yes. And also, Death collects you when you die. I don't think Death is allowed to kill you. And that is one of the things that happened in the first episode. That was Agatha called out that she's not allowed to kill her. And all witches have an extended life, so. JD. Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. I was a little surprised by the ending and Miss Hart. So that's a shocker. But was that permanent? I don't know. Because if it is, that's pretty screwed up that Agatha just pulled her in, and then have to see about that. But the things that I'm really liking about the series is, again, Agatha is being played very interestingly. She's being very selfish, but every once in a while you see a crack, a tiny splinter of that personality. She didn't want to drink because she didn't trust the wine, and she wouldn't let Teen drink it. So we're seeing that she does have some maternal instincts, maybe. Yeah, Jay, I agree with you. Slip. That Deborah Jo Rupp singing along and kind of bouncing and dancing was amazing. I'm hoping that her fate is not what we've seen, but they did kind of foreshadow it with a few things she said in the episode. I don't want to get into too much in case people haven't seen it, but the interesting thing is, to me, the surprise is that when Teen tries to say his name, the other witches can't see it or hear it either. So I thought that maybe this was a sigil specifically blocking Agatha, but this seems to be universal. Now, is it just witches who can't hear him? Or is it just anybody? Is this recent? I mean, there's a lot going on there. And again, Nicholas Scratch is one of the possibilities. People are saying he's Billy Kaplan, Wiccan. It's another possibility. That's the one I kind of lean towards. But again, that's just speculation at this point. But so far, I'm really enjoying it. And I like how the coven is slowly starting to come together. That this might be a real coven by the time we're done. And I also love the fact that they didn't just make up witches. They didn't just randomly throw witches in there. Yes, Rio Vidal is a new made-up character. That's why I don't believe she's really Rio Vidal. The Mrs. Davis or Mrs. Hart, whatever you want to call her, that's another one. But Jennifer Kale, Lila, and Annie, those are all actual witches from Marvel Comics. So you can go in there and take a look. You could look up these characters. It's a neat way to get people to come back. Jennifer Kale is a big part of, I believe, the Man-Thing series. So you've got a lot of characters there that you could go by. So I like that a lot. We're really enjoying the series. Lisa's loving it. And it's another one of those where we get to the end. It's like, no, we need more, please. Need another episode. Can we get another episode? Do we really need to wait another week for another episode? I'd like another episode now, please. Can we have another episode? I'd like another episode. Yeah. By the way, JD, that might be your clip for this week. I'm really enjoying this show. I think Catherine Hahn is great. I like the cast that they've put together. But a couple things to keep in mind. There must be something going on with Westview. Yeah, just put these up. But I've had them for a little while, but these put up because of the Penguin. I got the Penguin out, but I might as well put them all up. So The thing to keep in mind about Westview, and I want you guys to think about this. I'd love to hear what you think. But if you're watching the show, and the question always was, why did the Vision pick Westview to do, to buy the house? How did Wanda get that powerful in Westview? But the other question I have is, Jennifer Kale, Lila, I mean, all these witches were around the area. What is it about Westview that these witches that all needed something have come together in either Eastview or Westview? Why are they all in New Jersey? Is there something going on in Westview that's drawn all of them into the area? And if so, does this have to do with something that Mrs. Davis said she was talking about how they were trying to do an underground transit system in Westview. Westview looks tiny, too small to have a subway system. So what were they doing? So just keep that in mind. So, all right. I think what I'm going to shift on over to the Penguin. That deserves a good chunk of time. I got to start off by saying, wow. A lot happened in the Penguin that just stunned me. Ed says, Funko has an awesome muscle car Batmobile from the Batman bin, fighting the urge to buy it. For me, it's the muscle car Batman Batmobile Lego set. I had a chance to buy it at about $20. Now it's up to $40. If it was back down to $20, I'd already bought it. JD says, New Jersey is obviously a nexus for the ley lines guarded by the Jersey Devil. Yeah, that's probably good. That's probably what it is right there. So, all right. The Penguin. First thing, I watched The Sopranos. I love The Sopranos. And there is such a Sopranos vibe to this show, which I am okay with 100%. The mother aspect, stuff like that. But everything they're pulling from comes from the comics or from the history of the Penguin, his connection to his mother. That was also done in Gotham with Robin Lord Taylor's version of the Penguin. He's kind of established his connection to his mother. I know he's an orphan in other versions, but they have some connection to his mother. The fact that he found the sidekick who was trying to steal the rims on his car. You know whose origin that is Jason Todd's. That's how Batman found the second Robin. He was stealing the hubcaps off the Batmobile. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Colin Farrell just is stunning. When you get a chance to watch him, interview him, watch an interview with him talking about it. And then there was a podcast they're doing after the show now where they interviewed Lisa LaFranc, the showrunner, Matt Reeves, one of the other producers, and then Colin Farrell. And he's talking like Colin Farrell, just doing the normal voice and stuff. And then he switched. He switched into the Penguin voice. And they talked about his trigger word. And if you don't do impressions, you may not be familiar with the trigger word. But a trigger word is something that you say that's very clear how that person or that voice would say it. And you use that to get into the accent or the thing. If I'm doing an imitation of Ronald Reagan, it's the word well. Well, Nancy and I are here, and I don't even know where we are. So it's a trigger word. His for Oz is gefilte fish, which I think is hilarious. So gefilte fish. So he'll say that, and that gets him on the track to do that voice. So Trigger words are interesting for voice actors and stuff like that. And he has one. The opening scene is Emmy worthy. Hell yes. It absolutely is. And I don't know any Batman fan who was not stunned that they killed off Alberto Falcone. Because I know a lot of people watch the show and they hold up The Long Halloween as the Bible for this type of setting. And it makes sense because if you don't know this, Matt Reeves loved directing as a kid. He went to film school. He was studying to be a director. And he took a screenwriting class taught by Jeff Loeb, the guy that wrote The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Hush, all of these series that are now the basis and the inspiration for a lot of what Reeves is doing in his Batman epic crime saga. That's what he's calling this, by the way, the Batman epic crime saga. So all of this universe is the BECS. That is, so Loeb was a major influence on him as a writer, but also encouraged him to be a writer. Reeves didn't look himself as a writer, but Loeb supposedly pulled him aside and said, "You are a writer, and I want you to remember that." So that's why people look at Long Halloween and Hush and stuff, because Loeb was such an influence on the guy. And you get that feeling when you watch these. But Alberto Falcone is a huge part of The Long Halloween. So to kill him off like that just shocks everybody. And then we get Sophia Falcone after her hangman days. So that's Dark Victory right there. So I think that's really kind of shocking people, because it's like, well, wait, these things have already happened, or we're not going to get those characters. So I think we're not going to get a direct adaptation of those properties. We're getting this world, this crime saga that Matt Reeves is writing. So that's why, and I've seen some people a little bit upset online about, well, why are you hiring somebody who wants to run away from some of the elements of Batman? But I don't think that's the case. I think he wants to tell this kind of Batman story. And if this was an Elseworld or a graphic novel that focused on this kind of story, then nobody would say a word. But because he's doing a series of movies, people seem to think that it should bring in all of them. We need Robin, we need Batgirl, it's like, that's not the story he's telling. He's telling a crime saga, an epic crime saga set in the Batman world, focusing on the Batman as the detective and the villains that make sense in that world. So we're not going to get the fantastical, like Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, stuff like that. We're going to get the grounded characters like the Riddler, Penguin, Hush, maybe Joker, Catwoman, stuff like that, which that's plenty of characters for a series of movies and shows. You don't have to do everything. And there's going to be a different Batman being done by James Gunn and his crew that's going to be into the more fantastical stuff. So I think it just has to let that happen. What am I missing here? There's a lot of posts. I married a chick from New Jersey, would not recommend. My knee hurt. I wonder how long it takes to get that makeup on Colin. It looks nothing like Colin. Yeah, they're getting it narrowed down, but it was a long time. So I don't know. I know it's at least, I think it's like 3 or 4 hours, but a lot of that is prosthetic makeups and stuff. So they've streamlined it as quickly as possible. But then you get a moment like in the first episode where he's naked, tied up in a chair, and you've got to do a full body prosthetic that, from what reports say, was anatomically correct. He had a penguin penis. Yeah. Had a little beak on it, from what I'm hearing. Okay, JD, that might have been your clip for this week. Can you do an impression of John F. Kennedy? Ask not what your country can do for you. No, it's not good enough. I can do Nixon. Not going to have tricky dick to kick around anymore. Clinton, I feel your pain. But now, I haven't really spent any time on Kennedy. My knee hurt, man. My knees hurt, man. Okay. I'm sorry, Slip. By the way, Advil has this new targeted relief gel thing because my knee's been bothering me too. That's really good. Check it out. I can do Kennedy impression. That's mind-blowing. Too soon? Oh, Eddie. They already tried direct adaptation animation and they weren't well received. Yeah. The Hush one, they changed who the Hush the villain was. That was my biggest problem with that one. The Long Halloween was pretty good. I'll give them that. Ed says, I love how they're touching on some Batman stories, Long Halloween, Court of Owls, Hush, but not just doing them verbatim. Yeah, I like that too. He says, hi to my knees hurt, Dan. My knee hurts. Oh. Hello, my knee hurts. Welcome to the chat. What I miss by being dense, I make up with by being slow. All right. Yeah, I thought the Penguin episode was fantastic. I think it's a great continuation of the Batman series. I cannot wait to see where this goes next. I'm just going to make a compilation of you saying that might be the clip for today. Nice. Had a thought I was going to share, but by the way, we're not doing a final commercial. We're just going to end this out. One of the thoughts I had, what's funny is that the kid is named Victor Aguilera. And I've seen a lot of people going, maybe it's Victor Freeze. Maybe it's, there was a lot of different options. But the one nobody jumped on, and I think if they are going to make Victor Aguilera into a character from the comics, Victor Zsasz, the serial killer, does the little check marks on his body for every kill. That kid, I could see snapping and becoming a serial killer and doing that. So, yeah. If you are trying to figure out who Victor might become, and I don't know if he's going to, but I think it's much more likely he'd become Victor Zsasz than him becoming Victor Freeze. Because there's a doctorate involved and a marriage and other things like that. What's your vector, Victor? Airplane reference. Well done. So, yeah, I absolutely I'm loving the TV that's on right now. Only Murders in the Building has been absolutely fabulous. This new season of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power has been great. The Penguin debut was awesome. Agatha has been really good. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving all of this. And then I'm throwing in episodes of White Collar, and Cooking Channel, plus Crime Scene Kitchen's back tonight. So I'm spending a lot of time watching TV, which is fun. Jay says, we need a good Zsasz. The Gotham one was awesome, but we need a new one. Yeah, especially since Anthony Corrigan, who played Zsasz, is going to be playing Metamorpho. So, by the way, Anthony Corrigan playing Metamorpho now, having played Victor Zsasz, he also played the Mist on The Flash and NoHo Hank in Barry. So the guy's got some great roles going there. So, all right, guys, that I think is going to wrap things up. No knowledge of the Zuckers. Thank you, sir. Still no go for Sunday shows. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this Pop Go to Writers. I've talked to Kyle about maybe turning that into an interview type show, bringing in different comic creators and just talking about the process. Don't know yet. We're going to figure it out. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Tell your friends about the show, and come back and comment in the chat. That kind of helps us out too. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Good night.
Twitch, it's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there too.